18 years old and the White House? Man, I haven't heard that since Monica Lewinsky.
Huh?
But from casual selfies with Mr. Joe to casually chatting with Kim K down the hallway, come along with me for my day as a White House intern. Now, not that I'm David Goggins or anything, but my days typically started around 5 a.m. in the morning, which was pretty early. But it was the only time of the day that I felt I had enough time to put a really killer workout in before I went to work. Typically, my split was a semi or no split, meaning for all my non-gym goers out there, that means you do chest and triceps on Monday, you do your biceps and your back muscles on Tuesday, you do your legs on Wednesday, and then you repeat for the next 3 days of the week. Also, fun fact, it's been scientifically proven that you are the happiest out of any other time of the day in the morning. Maybe that's why they say breakfast is the most important meal of the day. And speaking of breakfast, I made sure to eat mine before I went to the gym. On most days, I'd work out from 6 to 7 a.m., then leave 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. to shower, shave, and look pretty before I went to the office at 8 a.m. Now, the first thing that I did when I got to the office was do the one thing that everybody loves to do, check their emails, which I did from about 8 to 8:30 in the morning. Then around 8:30, I'd have my first call of the day with my supervisor. This call was pretty much a check-in call and allowed me and my supervisor to sync and touch base on everything that we needed to get done in the day and everything we got done in the day prior. There was also a lot of chit-chatting, so that call would last me up until around 9:15, where I would begin the next part of my morning, actually getting some work done. So from around 9:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m., my mornings consisted of the 3 following tasks. I would be reaching out and emailing, calling, or even faxing some of our agency partners for guidance and feedback on policy that we were trying to issue out before a certain deadline. And this could include people literally down the hall from me or people that were literally across the other side of DC. I'd also be tasked with researching more about what the current outlook is on the White House, which involved a lot of reading, most importantly, reading. And for my favorite part of the day, I'd occasionally be tasked with the most exciting tasks that I can think of, setting up event spaces for the people. And this could be making sure that I prepare the most room temperature water bottles, or even setting up chairs for the next round of press briefings. And we look at that, it's 12:30 p.m., which is about lunchtime for myself. Me and the fellow interns had 3 different options. Some of us brought our own lunch, some of us went outside to eat lunch, but some of us also went to the in-house cafeterias in the White House itself. In the White House, we actually have 3 different in-house cafeterias that people go to. And you probably have heard of the first one, the Navy Mess Hall, but there's 2 that most people don't even know about. The first is called Ike's Cafeteria, and Ike's is a sandwich shop that sits within the EEOB. We also have a Dunkin' Donuts that sits in the NEOB. Yo, Viraj, what do the EEOB and NEOB even stand for, bro? But don't worry, I got you, because I'm going to be detailing what the EEOB and the NEOB are right now. The EEOB stands for the Eisenhower Executive Office Building, and it's a building you've probably seen in the shadows of the White House. This is a building that about 70% of the White House staff work in, and it was constructed around 1888, which, if my math is mathing correctly, that's almost 160 years ago, which is pretty dang old. This is a building that has that distinct White House feel, with enormous glass chandeliers and granite floors, as well as even a bowling alley. Yeah, that's right. However, I worked in the NEOB, which stands for the New Executive Office Building, which, as you can probably tell, is newer than the EOB. It was built around 1969, which is around the same time that we sent our first Americans to the moon. This office has much more of a corporate feel. From sliding glass doors to TVs in the elevators, it felt exactly like I was in a Deloitte office all over again. And even though my desk was in the NEOB, I often had meetings right afterwards in the EEOB. These meetings were either check-ins with policy officials or debriefs on congressional pieces of legislation that we had to get funded. Now, my main responsibilities were either driving along the agenda, taking notes during the meeting, or even proxying for officials that weren't able to make it. And so these meetings would typically go along until 4:15 p.m., which is around the time that people started to pack up and get ready to go home. Now, you know how I said I had meetings that ended at 4:15? Well, funny enough, I was actually in charge of making some of those prep documents for the meetings the day prior. So leading into my consulting background, I started to make the most endearing and eye-catching presentations that anyone had ever seen. Unfortunately, a lot of the PowerPoint softwares like Canva and Adobe were prohibited for use by majority of the interns at the White House. So I had to use the next best thing, Microsoft PowerPoint. And while the White House did get new computers with the start of the new administration, it still wasn't enough to put all my fancy graphics, color schemes, and fonts on the PowerPoint. And so I typically spend somewhere along the ballpark of 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. getting them adjusted so I can send them out to my supervisor the next following morning. And you're probably thinking right now, dude, you worked a whole 12-hour shift. Are you done with it? Unfortunately, no. I still had one more thing that I had to get done before I wrapped it for the day, which was preparing all my emails for the next day. You see, even though I had a really busy schedule, I always made time to at least connect with one new person every single day, whether that be a 5-minute Zoom call or hour-long lunch date. So I tried to send 5 emails to people that I was really interested in connecting with, and typically I really had success rate. Most people were super eager to meet me, and more importantly, they also were super eager to treat me out to something super cool. So the intern privilege is real. So it's 8:30 in the night and we're finally done with the day. I'd pack my bags, put my computer to sleep, and walk home at about 8:30 in the night. Fortunately though, my apartment is only a 15-minute walk away from the White House. So I get home around 8:45 in the night, and afterwards eat dinner, watch maybe an episode of a show, and call it a night around 10 p.m. And that is a day in the life as a White House intern. Now, if there's one thing that I learned from this internship, it's that people matter the most. And I know that sounds super cliche, but the people I met in the White House were next to none. They were the most intelligent, ambitious, and most importantly, the most humble people I've ever met in my life. And whether it be working a 13-hour workday or just a happy hour at 5 p.m., building those relationships in any internship will surely last you a lifetime. So if you leave this video with anything at all, I want you to know that you should always try your best to make time for people. Whether that be a 30-second elevator chat or a 30-minute coffee chat, trust me, it's all worth it. Ain't that right, Mr. Trump?
Bye. Go home to mommy. Go home to mommy.
Okay, maybe not. How about you, Mr. Biden?
But I tell you what, I don't know about you, but I'm going to go to bed.
Obama, you got anything for me?
I'm out.
Alright, bro, I'll just end the video here.